Hi there, it's Gabrielle Nicolay from Speechkids. I'm a speech language pathologist for 2 decades now, and I help little kids learn how to talk, and I help their parents understand them. And these videos are part of the way that I'm doing that. And so there's a question for you up there in the post. It says, why is this parenting thing so hard? And there is often this moment for parents, I should say before we become parents, we've like reached this phase of adulthood, many of us, where we're like, yeah, I can do this thing, right? You've chosen your career and that's going well. Maybe you've chosen a life partner and you think, okay, got my stuff together. We can try this kid thing. And there's lots of much is made, in social media and in the media generally about getting pregnant and staying healthy and taking your vitamins and buying the right stuff. And you do all of that, and you go through your pregnancy, or you go through even your adoption process, and then you get this being, and they come home, and you learn how to deal with the baby. And everything sort of goes to shit, right? Because having a baby is really hard. And all this competence that you were feeling in your life, it can go out the window a little bit, can't it? You're used to feeling like you know how to have an argument or win an argument, especially if you're a lawyer. The lawyers, I find, honestly, and I'm not busting on lawyers, but the lawyers have the hardest time with this because they are generally highly logical and they reason their arguments and they're really good at it. And here's the God's honest truth. Your young child, particularly your 2-year-old, but also your 3, 4, and 5-year-old, doesn't care. The skills that you need to reason with a 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old are not the same skills, and I know you know this, and that's why hopefully we can laugh together about this. They don't care that you're a great lawyer. They don't care that you can braid people's hair really, really well if they would just sit still. They will not sit still for you so that you can do your thing. They do not care how well educated you are. They do not care what your house looks like, what kind of car you drive. They care about none of it. What they care about is, are you going to take care of them? And are you going to learn who they are? And there comes this moment, and again, I see it in lots of the families that I work with, most of whom have children who are having some trouble learning to speak, but not all of them. Some of them are just late talkers who actually, they don't have a speech and language disorder. They just need a little bit of time and a little bit of change of focus in terms of how their language is developing. But their parents are at a loss. People are confused because none of our outside world skills, or very few of them, work with toddlers and preschoolers. And so we feel totally incompetent. And we feel lost. And so I just wanted to, number one, point that out, and hopefully we can laugh a little bit about that. And then also give you 4 little tiny tips. And the first one is breathe. And I do mean that literally. A deep breath. And I've been reading lots of stuff about anything you read about business, anything you read about personal growth, anything you read about physiology and health will tell you breathing is really important. So breathe. Take a deep breath in those moments that you feel like, ooh, it's not working. Breathe. I have a mentor who every once in a while in the middle of a meeting, things are getting really ramped up. She says, deep breath in, deep breath out, and that can change the whole direction and the mood of the meeting. So breathe. Also, if you haven't already, and this happens when you've had the baby, but if you are a person who has been home in the winter with a baby, or have a young child and you still haven't found your tribe, find a tribe. Get some like-minded, even if it's the woman next door or the person next door, that, you don't think you share a lot in common with, but you have the same age kids, hang out with them, because they'll lead you to other people. And getting with people who are in the same boat, with the same age children who are going through similar things, can be really helpful. I will say it can also be stressful if your child isn't developing in the expected way, in the ways that the other kids in the group are. And so if that's the case, you might need a different tribe. You might need to find a tribe where all of the parents are dealing with kids who are not developing in an expected way, if that's the case for you. But a group of people who are experiencing the same thing makes it easier for everybody, right? Nobody likes to be alone. All that garbage in your head will just go to town. It's better in the group. The third thing I want to recommend that you do is just, and I'm going to put my milestone page in the chat as a link. But Google some milestones. Developmental ages and stages are important because it helps you know what to expect from your young child at each age and or stage. And honestly, stages are more important than the age of your child. So not all 2-year-olds are doing, all the things that the CDC, for example, tells you that 2-year-olds need to do. But if we think of it more holistically as kids pass through developmental stages, then there's really a lot of information to be gleaned and learned about how to then respond to, your 2-year-old who is throwing themselves on the floor because you said they couldn't have another orange, or they couldn't watch, Paw Patrol. And so you're going to respond differently to your 5-year-old than you are to your 2-year-old. And knowing what's going on in terms of their age and stage can really be helpful. So I'm going to post the milestones link to my website, but there's tons and tons of stuff online that you can find that's really good. And then the last thing that I wanted you to do that I cannot remember, it's posted up there, I just didn't take any notes. It's escaping me. And so we will leave it there for now. Gosh, I sure do wish I could remember what it was. Let's see. I know what it was. Get to know your little one. That's the huge piece. And we'll go into that more in my next video in terms of how do you do that? But in those moments where you're like, what is going on? Go back to what it is that you know about your child. Get curious about them. Be a little bit of a detective. What is it that they like? What do they not like? How does that interact with their developmental stage? Getting to know, does your child do they calm down when you take them outside, for example? Do they prefer to go into a soft, quiet space when they're upset? Do they want you to pick them up all the time? And if the knee-jerk answer to that is yes, then take another look, and we can. You will realize it's not all the time, but it might be a lot of the time. Maybe they need to be held a lot of the time right now. Know that many stages, many things that happen in each age and stage change, right? But your child probably does come with some preferences and a temperament and a personality style that is pretty stable. So it's worth sort of getting to know who this person is who has been deposited into your house. And we're going to talk more about that next week. So in the meantime, will you leave me a comment or reply and let me know what are the situations where you feel like I'm really competent at this in my real life, but in my parenting life, I don't know what's going on. What are those things that happen? I'd love to hear from you. So, till next time, take care. Bye-bye.